This is the Coach Tom Anthony Show on your home for Pitt State football.
To the near edge, and he's buried. Jordan Rogers was not fooled. Drops him back at the 11-yard line.
Highlights, insights, and what's next for Pittsburgh State.
Jalen Fuchs, far side return for Pitt State, has a sideline. Jalen Fuchs is going to go after a block punt for a safety. Pitt State special teams strikes again. Fuchs with a first career touchdown. It comes via kickoff return. It is 22-7. You got to be kidding me.
Here's the voice of the Gorillas, Eddie Lomshek.
Good Monday, football fans, Gorilla fans, and welcome to the latest installment of the Coach Tom Anthony Show. Eddie Lomshek along with Pitt State football coach Tom Anthony, listening on this Monday evening on our flagship 100.7 or through the KSHQ app. Pitt State football 23-6 at home over Nebraska Kearney this past Saturday, a fourth consecutive win for the Gorillas. So the ball continues to roll in the right direction at the very least. And this show will be released, a video installment of this show at noon Wednesdays by the Pitt State Athletics Department through their YouTube channel, so you can see how good Coach and I look in person there. If you kind of wonder, right, you'll see why I have a face for radio for sure. But Coach, 23-6. Man, hard-fought game, obviously, just a real slobber knocker of a game, and you knew how Kearney built their team on physicality up front. You have to be able to match that, but boy, where would you start in grinding through that one on Saturday?
Just proud of our guys. I mean, we challenged them, with that all week. There was going to be a physical game. Knew that both teams wanted to come in and try to run the football, and both teams wanted to, come in and try to stop the run. And very proud of just all three phases. I think stepped up when we needed them to. Obviously our offense was able to run the football, I think, at a pretty high level going in with, them being such a good rush defense. And then obviously the defense was able to step up as well. So, and a couple of huge plays on special teams for us, throughout the game. Played for the most part a pretty clean, complete game. And when we're able to do that, good things can happen.
Yeah, the game had a little bit of everything, really, when you go back and look at it as far as play distribution and running the ball. But, defense, the old adage, right? If Kearney, especially if they can't run the ball, it really gets them away from what they want to do. So they had lost their leading rusher to an injury the game before. That's a tough break for them, and so you don't want to see that happen to anybody. But just across the board, season low in rush yards, pass yards, total yards allowed, first downs, and points. Where would you start on what you saw from your defense?
Just, again, proud of, first and foremost the players executing the plan, and then proud of the coaches for putting a good plan together. Coach Nutt and the defensive staff, I thought did a great job all week of implementing a plan that we wanted to do. And then the players, I think, the next part of that plan is the players got to go out and execute it. And, I think for the most part, I think they had I don't even know how many total yards they had, but I think almost a fourth or a fifth of them just came on one big long pass they had. And it was a great ball and a great catch by their players. And our Quincy Minor was right there in a good spot, and they just made a good play. So again, very proud of the defense. We needed the defense to step up this week, and I told the guys that after the game. That's what really good teams will do. Week to week, you might need one side of the ball or one unit to step up a little bit. We needed the offense 2 weeks ago against Emporia, and they stepped up. And the offense really needed the defense this week against Kearney, and the defense was able to step up. So again, just proud of our guys and just kind of how they've been continuing to show up every day, go to work, get better, and execute.
Yeah, you're talking about the one play was 33 yards. They had another one of 23 and 25. So really, 3 plays, there's 80-ish yards or whatever it is between their, or almost 90 yards of their offense. 154 for the record, total offense. There were some adjustments had to happen early, though, because, and I don't remember what series, it was early in the game. You mentioned Coach Nutt. Man, he was fired up because you guys were able to get off the field. He's out there at the numbers pumping his fist after a 3 and out. But quarterback had pulled the ball a couple of times and gotten some yards, and so you had to make some adjustments. What were some things early you had to, when you saw those types of plays?
I think just getting our inside backers to actually see the run fit properly. I think early in the game we misfit a couple things on some of that edge stuff. Quarterback was pulling some zone stuff, and we just weren't seeing it from the inside backer position as well as we should have. Stuff we repped all week and showed our guys. So again, I think some of that might be pregame jitters sometimes, but just getting those guys calmed down, getting to the sidelines, drawing it up on the board, showing them on the iPad, that helps. That's a game changer, for us the last couple of years, being able to have those iPads on the sideline. We can come back, we can sit down there and actually scroll through it, show the kid the play, show them what they did wrong, and having those things there really helps fix some of that stuff.
You knew going in that Kearney was going to play without Harris, their leading rusher, leading the conference among the national leaders as well. They're not going to completely change what they do, but how much goes through your mind as a defensive coach about what they might be looking to do knowing they don't have him?
Yeah, I mean, you got to kind of play the what if game.
Right.
It's like, man, here's some things they have, offensively where they're pretty good. Maybe they lean on some of that a little more. So you kind of got to keep that in the back of your head. And for me, it's really, we kind of knew once we came out for warmups that he wasn't playing. So it's like, all right, guys, when we come back into the locker room before the game starts, sitting down as a coaching staff and say, hey, here's potentially how we might have to adjust to some things that they might do. And then if they come out and do those, you're ready. If they don't and they stick to what they had shown they were going to do on film, then you just kind of play the game plan out. And again, I thought our guys did a great job all game of just adapting and adjusting to stuff.
Yeah, and another thing was, I don't know how many passes they threw to the edge, just these lateral pop passes, right? They've got trips, and then they've got two guys to block, and they'd flip it out there. Was that something you anticipated from them as far as an extension of the run game?
Yeah, a little bit. They'd shown that on film, throwing some perimeter screen game stuff, and a lot of those heavy run teams, similar to Emporia, a few weeks earlier, that's how a lot of those teams get to their run game. I mean, they're just counting numbers in the box, counting numbers on the perimeter. If they like it, they're going to rip a quick screen out there, even though it goes in the box score as a pass. A lot of that's just an extension of the run game, some RPO stuff. So we kind of knew that coming in. We were prepared for that. And again, our guys did a great job of just executing what we needed them to do.
Yeah, there were a couple of adjustments there too, because they'll look out there and maybe you don't have a man sitting over that third receiver inside the number 3 receiver. So what are some things that linebackers have to look for because you see a lot of them this day and age? Talk about the conflict, I guess, your linebackers can be put in for a team that flips it to the edge like that.
Yeah, especially those backers in the box who have to match a number out on the perimeter, but you also need them to play the run game first. Those guys just got to be really disciplined. I mean, that's all it is. And anytime we feel we can get the ball out on the perimeter, we feel it's advantageous for us, just because I think that's one of the strengths of our defense is kind of our back end and our speed. So if we can get the ball out to the perimeter, we feel, as long as we can make tackles in space, that'll be advantageous for us.
Boy, the game has changed, right? Everybody used to play with the tight end and the fullback, and you had these 6'3", 230-pound strong bone linebackers. But, man, how many guys in the league anymore 6 feet, 210, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, we've had to adapt with some of that. I mean, a couple weeks ago against UCO, we played Jordan Rogers at will backer the whole game, just because they were going to spread the field out. Did a little bit of that against Emporia as well. I mean, you kind of got to match some of that week to week, the other team's personnel, how they stress you out, offensively. You got to be able to match some of that. And thankfully for us, we're very deep on the back end and we're able to move some guys around at times.
Coach, another pretty solid day for balance. Not huge numbers offensively, but your play distribution continues to be pretty balanced. Where do you feel you are run-pass balance?
I love where we're at. I think for the last 3 weeks now, we've ran the ball really well. When you go back to Fort Hays, then to Emporia, and even to this week, Kearney, again, was one of the top rush defenses in the conference. And for us to be able to come in and run the ball, I think fairly well. Zamari had another great game. Mm-hmm. Man, I thought our offense did a great job of moving the football all game long. Obviously, we got to be a little bit better in the red zone. We stalled out a bunch in the red zone, but man, we were able to move the football. We were able to not turn the ball over. We had one turnover on the day, and it was on a 3rd and long. That's one of those situations where you throw the ball downfield, taking a shot. At the end of the day, it's really no different than sending the punt team out there on 4th down and punting the ball away. So again, really proud of our offense, just the way they were able to generate yards and move the football. I think we had over 400 yards of total offense. So I think they're doing a great job.
Yeah, a little over 400 yards. And I will say this, credit Nebraska Kearney, the mental toughness their defense showed. They were out there time and time again. Their offense did not obviously move the ball much, but it just goes back when we played Hays, right? You settle for 3 field goals. You make them settle for 3 field goals. That was huge at the end of the day. Kearney stayed in this game because their defense did the same thing. So as quick as people can be to criticize one team, we didn't finish drives. The other team is trying to. And let me tell you, Kearney's got some dudes on that front 4. That number 6 and that number 91 and some of that, right? Talk about just their D-line and how they're built.
Well, their whole defense. Coming into the game, when you looked at them statistically, one of the top rush defenses in the conference, one of the top total defenses in the conference. They were leading the conference in sacks. One of the top leaders in terms of taking the ball away defensively. They still are one of the top defenses in our conference and in the country. So we knew coming into the game that points and yards were going to be tough to come by. And again, it was like we knew the defense was going to have to play really well to help our offense out. Just like, again, 2 weeks ago against Emporia, we needed the offense. We knew we were going to need the offense to help us out going against Emporia's offense. So, again, just always go back to just proud of our guys and the way they were able to execute.
And it was another warm day, mid-80s. You guys, you feel like you've kind of gotten into game shape playing in these warm conditions?
Definitely. I think for the last 3 weeks now, we've been playing in some heavy heat, you know, no cramping issues the last couple weeks. So, again, that's a kind of a testament, again, to our strength staff, to our trainers as well, just getting those guys, getting their bodies ready for that. And, again, it helps, I think, as well, going against a Kearney team who maybe wasn't tempo spread like Emporia was. We knew we were probably going to have to take 80 to 90 snaps in the game, you know, so that helps a little bit too when you're only having to take 50 to 60 snaps versus 90 to 100 snaps against a tempo offense. But again, I think our guys are really acclimated to that heat right now.
Yeah, Pitt State 71 snaps, Kearney only 51. That's a low number, the Gorillas, because that's low to what they were averaging. That was about 20 less per game. Pitt State's pretty average, between low to mid 70s per game is average, but thankfully didn't have to deal with that tempo. So we're going to go ahead and take our first break on the show. When we come back, our player segment, Kristian Cross will join us. Eventually, we'll get back with Coach Anthony and go through the win over Kearney and look forward to this weekend, homecoming with Washburn coming to town. We'll do all of that still to come on the Coach Tom Anthony Show.
The Silverback Fund just helps us go above and beyond to be able to be the best in the MIAA.
You see it as a financial investment, but it's really an investment in people, which is what Pitt State's all about.
We recruit at such a high level. We are competing against a lot of Division I's now. What's going to set us apart and have us in the conversation is the financial part of it.
We couldn't have this success without individual donors, without the community support.
If you're on the fence about giving, come out to games, look at the athletes, and see what kind of experiences they're getting.
Welcome back to the Coach Tom Anthony Show on this Monday. Eddie Lomshek getting set for our player segment, and with us, senior defensive back Kristian Cross, one of the really big plays in the game for Pitt State in the win over Nebraska Kearney this past Saturday. And Gorilla defense is really flexing their muscle, obviously, as we went through with Coach, and we'll go back through the game more with him here in a little bit. But Kristian Cross with us, part of a very veteran secondary for Pittsburgh State, and definitely one of the strengths of this team. Hey, you guys get 4 wins in a row since the 0-2 start. Talk about where you feel this team is.
I feel like this team is high and we're rolling. We've been emphasizing the finish, preparation. Every practice we come in with high intensity. If it's like good on good segments or even against the scouts, we're going to try to push ourselves to the next level to greatness.
When you guys are sitting there at 0-2, and I've talked about this with every player, that you have to dig out of it one game at a time. Take me back to after the Central Oak loss, you're sitting at 0-2. What do you feel this team has in culture or chemistry that didn't allow the season to get away from you?
I feel like our team, it was really a brotherhood. We went down 2 losses, but ain't nobody give up on anybody. We still have faith in our players. We have faith in the guys who probably did make mistakes, but we still have faith in them because we seen what they were capable of doing. And just to push people on the team to where they're supposed to be, their talent level, and not just going off of potential all the time, but this is who you are.
For you, a number of things to talk about, being a transfer, but obviously a very good player for the Gorillas out of St. Louis, Hazelwood Central. Were you on good teams in high school?
My freshman through junior year, we were a pretty solid team. My senior year, we went through some coaching changes, and we kind of had a down year, but for the most part, it was a pretty solid team. Yeah,
obviously competitive in a metropolitan area in St. Louis. A lot of good teams come out of any metropolitan area. You end up at Fullerton College in California. What was that like? First of all, football aside, what was that like going to the West Coast?
Going to the West Coast, it was a culture shock for me. It was completely different from St. Louis. It was a beautiful experience, though. I wouldn't take one day away from it.
And were you on good teams at Fullerton?
First year, we kind of had some struggles going into the first year, coming off of the COVID year. And going into the second year, we were contending for the state championship, but then we fell short to Riverside. So,
yeah, if people don't know California Junior College, they're not in the NJCAA that you see with the Kansas Jayhawk Conference schools and some from other parts of the country. So you go out there. What do you remember about just adjusting to the college game? Do you feel like you played with and against some pretty talented players at Fullerton?
Oh, yeah, 100% did. It was some games where I'm thinking I'm playing junior college, and I go against some guy, and he's a dog. So I had to wake up real quick to realize that this is college football, too.
So out of St. Louis, Hazelwood Central to Fullerton College, and then end up at Pitt State. take me back to that. What all started that process?
I redshirted for a semester after I was done at Fullerton College, and I was 21 at the time, so a 21-year-old redshirt. A lot of people don't want anything to do with that, you know what I'm saying? But I got the call from, it was Coach Hendy at the time. I believe he's at Minnesota now.
Right.
And he had faith in me. I came up here on a visit, and I talked to Coach Ant, and he still believed in me and what I was capable of doing. So that, and there's just a tradition of Pitt State itself. I always wanted to go to Pittsburgh State. I knew some people who went to Pitt State before, like Rico Payne, some guys I look up to coming out of St. Louis. So just getting that opportunity to come here, I had to take it. I had to make the best of the opportunity.
Yeah, so being in St. Louis, and I don't know if that time, I don't know that Lindenwood was still in the league. They're up there in St. Charles, but so would you say you were pretty familiar with the MIAA and some of the programs, knowing of them?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So when you came here on Pittsburgh and you talked about knowing that, I don't know how much you knew about specifics, but what were your impressions of Pittsburgh, the community, and the football facilities?
Well, football facilities, I've been on a lot of visits, and it's better than almost every school that I've been to. So that in the community is a very tight-knit community with a lot of great people. Just coming on my visit and seeing how welcoming people was to me played a huge factor in me coming here.
Chatting with Kristian Cross on our player segment of the Coach Tom Anthony Show. The Gorillas 4-2, 4 consecutive wins off a 23-6 win over Nebraska Kearney. Not officially a shutout, but points weren't on the defense, and so it was a dominant game for Pittsburgh State with some of the numbers put up. So this particular team, last season, you had a good year, honorable mention all conference. The team gets to the playoffs, but it ended kind of rough, right, with a bad loss to Harding at home. So what do you recall this past offseason and summer leading into this season that you guys definitely wanted to have happen?
That loss, it put a bad taste in a lot of our mouths, and it was something that we don't want to experience again. So going into the offseason, a lot of people came in the first day hungry and ready to work.
I mentioned earlier the experience in the secondary. You're one of 4 or 5 guys that have all conference in their career. So how would you describe the chemistry among the DBs?
DBs, we're very tight-knit. If it's not just getting extra work in on the side when nothing's going on, to just hanging out and talking. Like, we're a very close secondary. All the guys know a lot about each other. All the guys love each other.
One thing about corners, new position coach this year. How's that transition been?
Oh, he's a dog. Yeah, he's a dog.
Yeah, so, well, if people don't know, that's a good thing. So when it comes to football terms, this defense, like this past game with Nebraska Kearney, you hold them, I think it was a season low in rush yards, pass yards, total yards, first downs allowed, points allowed for a team against the Gorillas this season. What's that like as a defense going out there and just locking down a team series after series after series?
That was the expectation. We expected to do that from week 1, and just to be able to showcase that this was what the team is capable of doing. Yeah, it was very uplifting, and it was it was some joy. It was some joy in that.
The final nail in the coffin was your pick 6, and from upstairs where we broadcast, it looked like the ball got knocked away because you and the receiver both had your back to us. But take me through that play, that takeaway, and eventually the pick 6.
It's actually crazy to me because my mom called me the night before, and then she was like, pick 6. Like, I answered the phone. I said, what's up, Mom? She said, pick 6, pick 6, pick 6. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she said, yeah, I feel like you're going to have your opportunity to make a play on tomorrow. And it meant a lot to me because I didn't have no interceptions last year. I didn't have no interceptions this year. And it was kind of like, I started getting down a little bit about it. And so just my family and a lot of guys on the team just having faith in me and seeing that I am capable of making that play. When the ball was in the air and I knew I had an opportunity to get it, I'm like, I can't let this opportunity slip away because it's a lot of people who have faith in me. So.
You mentioned your mom. Do you get a chance for some family and friends to come to some games in Pittsburgh especially?
Yeah, whole family was there.
Yeah, good. That's awesome. And that's one of the great things about our program is seeing that, especially after the game when everybody's out there mingling a little bit. So you get the pick. What are you looking for as a D-back when you start that return? You're wanting blocks to set up. What all is going through your mind about picking your way to the end zone?
As soon as I caught it, first I had to stay up because he kind of tried to tackle me there. And then I turned around. I'm just looking. I'm trying to see how the way they're setting up blocks. Is it to the field? Is it to the sideline? And then I just seen like just a red sea just part because all the people were just blocking so well on the team. So I really didn't even have to get up to top speed because how well everybody on the team was blocking. So it was just following them red jerseys to the end zone.
Is that turnover thrown pretty comfortable to sit in? That's a pretty comfy seat. I bet it is after a play like that. So, hey, 4 in a row, you need to keep it rolling. One game at a time, right? Talk about the potential you see for this team to continue to build on what you have.
No complacency. Got to come with the same energy going into this week, the same preparation and practice, and taking every rep seriously.
Very good. We'll keep it rolling. Nice job. Great to have you here. Kristian Cross, Pitt State senior D-back, our player guest on the Coach Tom Anthony Show. We'll take our next break. Coach Anthony will rejoin us on the other side.
Ready to see what it's like to be a gorilla? Join us Saturday, November 1st for Rumble in the Jungle, Pitt State's biggest open house event of the year. Explore your major, tour labs, see housing options, and watch the gorillas take on Missouri Southern. Lunch is on us, and you'll be eligible to win one of 5 $1,000 scholarships. Register for free at pittstate.edu/rumble. Your future starts here in Gorilla Nation.
Welcome back to the Coach Tom Anthony Show. Eddie Lomshek as we bring Coach Anthony back in. Coach just finished with our player segment. Kristian Cross, 2-year player for you at corner. Obviously had a huge play against Kearney with the pick 6 late, but how about this young man in his second year in the program now?
Great kid. Again, just on top of being a really good football player, phenomenal human being. Comes to work every day, always in the coach's offices, watching film with us, getting the game plan early in the week. He's one of those guys that's going to keep guys after practice to get some extra individual work in. So, man, I just love the kid. And he's one of those kids too, man. Like, he never has a bad day. Like, he shows up every day. Great personality, smile on his face, excited to be there, excited to have fun playing a game he loves. Again, I think his personality is kind of infectious within our team, and he's a great teammate. Guys love being around him. So again, he was a home run for us in terms of a transfer kid that we took.
Yeah, when you think about that, being from St. Louis, and he talked about that's right in the MIAA footprint, familiar with a lot of the programs, and had heard of Pitt State. But then you go away to Fullerton College. I mean, you never know where it's going to lead back to. But Jordan Hendy was your corners coach last year. Talk about that, and what do you remember about Jordan bringing him in and looking at everything?
Obviously, Jordan being from the West Coast, from California, had a lot of those junior college connections out there, and we knew we wanted to bring in that year, a couple transfer corners. We came across Kristian, and he was actually, I know he didn't talk about this, he was actually committed to Ferris State, and we were able to bring him on an official visit and kind of flip him, to come to Pitt State, and thankfully we were able to get that done because he's been a huge part of what we've done the last couple of years.
And you mentioned a kind of an infectious personality. It would be real easy for a transfer just to kind of hide and maybe feel like he's not quite all the way part of it. But you just think that's personality as far as him coming in and just ingratiating himself to everything?
Definitely. And I think, he just loves football. Like, he's one of those kids, man, like whether he's in the weight room, whether he's in the meeting rooms meeting, or whether he's out of practice, like he's just excited to be there. Like, he always has a smile on his face, always asking good questions. You never have to ask him to give effort, whether you're in a meeting, in the weight room, or out on the football field. I mean, he's one of those kids, man, that is just in love with the game of football and everything that comes with it.
And I asked him as well, you do have a new corners coach. I know we maybe talked about that at the start of the year, safeties and corners. And the irony is you have a really veteran group there. How much do you think the experience of your players on the back end have helped the transition for 2 new coaches back there?
It obviously helps a ton, especially for those corners. I mean, those corners, a guy like Antoine Nunn, I think, is on his 6th corner coach now, in 5 years. A guy that was here with Coach Beck, and their staff. And then, we had a corners coach here for the first 3 months we were hired. Then he left, and we bring in George Sanders. He's here for a few years. Then he leaves. We bring in Devontae Sims, who's here for a season. Then Hendy, now Coach Perkins. So Twan's been here 6 years, and I think I had 6 or 7 different corners coaches. So obviously, when you have veterans who have been through some of that, that helps. And we have, with Jalen Fuchsa having been through that, and Antoine Nunn still around, having those veteran guys. And then again, it helps with too when you bring in really, really good coaches. And we were able to hit a couple home runs with Coach Perkins and Coach Schrader, with Coach Hendy and Coach Johnson leaving after last season.
You guys are second in the MIAA in pass defense, and that's yards allowed per game if people don't know. So hitting that halfway point of the season, do you feel like your secondary's been what you'd hope they would be given their experience?
Definitely. And again, I mean, a lot of that goes back to as well, we played a couple pretty good two of the more high-powered pass offenses,
Yep.
in our conference with UCO and Emporia, and still have a couple more, on the schedule. So having those veterans back there on the back end is always helpful, whether it's run or pass. I mean, those guys get us lined up. They've seen a lot of football, so they know how to. New things don't scare them. I'll put it that way. When you have those veterans out there that have been playing for you now for 2, 3, 4 years, stuff comes, I don't want to say easy to them, but stuff doesn't stress them out when they're on the field.
Yeah.
So having all those older guys back there definitely helps our defense as a whole.
We're going to need a program next year for some new guys on the back of that Pitt State defense, that's for sure. But, man, what a luxury. It's almost an embarrassment of riches back there on the back end. Coach, it was a great start to the game except for the coin toss. You're 1-5 on coin tosses this year, and we'll take the blame. Sam Reeves, our sideline guy. I'll send somebody else out there with a microphone next week because we'll get this rectified. But, man, what an opening drive. The win was a little factor, right? So you have to look at that stuff. But you guys are going into the win non-factor because you were able to run the ball and throw it effectively. How about coming out 10 plays, 75 yards for a touchdown?
That's awesome. Obviously we wanted to win the toss and defer to the second half and take the win in the first quarter, and we got the exact opposite. But again, great job by the offense of starting fast now, a couple weeks in a row. Been able to drive down first possession of games, put points on the board. So anytime you can kind of start a game like that before the other team touches the ball, already getting points on the board, it kind of puts the pressure on them. Takes some stress off your defense of having to go out there and make something happen. So great job by the offensive guys of coming out and executing and driving down and getting points.
Yeah, 2 games in a row indeed. And I joke with you, just do that every game. I don't know why you don't score first possession every game. But we talk about complementary football. You've gotten so much better in the last 3 weeks of this. What's it like scoring and then forcing the 3 and out?
That's awesome. I mean, you have the momentum because you went out and put points on the board, and now you even build more momentum of getting the ball back to your offense. So great job, by the defense of going out there and, again, executing what we needed them to execute and getting all off the field and getting the ball back to our offense. And, anytime you can start a game with your first 2 possessions, your offense scores and your defense gets a 3 and out or a takeaway, I mean, that's ideally, like you said, let's start every game like that.
Yep, and again, Kearney playing without the back Harris, but boy, that youngster, he's a good back. That Ross kid out of Omaha, he's a good-looking running back, so didn't let him get going. Coach, you guys would go 3 and out yourselves. There were 3 consecutive punts after that, so this game took on that identity in a hurry. You get the ball at your own 5, and you drive it into Kearney territory, settle for a field goal. Austin and Hayden were both, 60-plus in pregame with the wind at their back. 58 from the right hash. Looked like it was online. Did he maybe get under that a little more?
Yeah, he said he just mishit it a little bit. I mean, he's got the leg. I mean, we're going to, I tell you this, I tell everyone this, we're going to keep I still believe Austin Smith's one of the best kickers in the country. He's just missed a couple this season, especially from the right hash. But, that thing was online perfectly, mishit it. He was probably about a yard to a yard and a half short of that thing going through. And, man, that would have been huge for him to hit a 58-yarder for us. But, we're going to continue to have faith in Austin and his abilities to put points on the board.
Yeah, it's fun getting there early and seeing the kickers out there early. This is way before the Gorilla Walk, and they're out there seeing both ends of the field, testing the wind, obviously, what kind of range they have. Yeah, I thought he hit it a little low. It was spinning a little quicker, right, and maybe just didn't have enough drive on it. I did get to meet his parents before the game, and there's a family all wearing 49 jerseys. What great people. And speaking of kickers, so an hour and a half before the game, I go down, introduce myself to Hayden Kosicki. I'd never talked to him, Apopka, Florida, to Pittsburgh, Kansas, and so he's kind of taking me through everything. That's an amazing story. He said this is only his 4th year playing football.
Yes.
He's a soccer kid, right?
Yeah, he was a soccer kid and took on kicking, and, man, he's got you see it on our kickoffs. He's got a powerful leg. And, again, he did a great job filling in for us last year, when Schmitty had that hip flexor issue, throughout the season. Hayden and Gentry Cole both did a great job filling in for us on PATs and field goals. And, he's just a redshirt freshman for us. Right. So he's got a lot of years ahead of us here that he's going to be a big part of what we do. And, man, he has a powerful leg.
Yeah, and the Gorillas are redshirting a left footer. That's the kicking department's in pretty good shape. Let me tell you, it's so unfortunately for Austin a little bit short on that one. But Kearney gets the ball. Now all of a sudden they have field position for the first time at their own 41. So you give up a first down. So again, your defense is called back on there. It's not complimentary when we think about a takeaway and score. But how big is that they're starting almost at midfield and nothing?
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. That also went into a little bit of my decision to send Austin out there, right? I mean, that possession, we were technically still going into the win, and there's just a couple seconds left there in the second quarter. So we let that thing, and I'm thinking right there, we're going to punt. We let the quarter run out. we flipped the football, and so I go to Austin. I'm like, hey man, like we got the wind at our back. How do you feel? Because I feel great, and I kind of knew, if he makes it, awesome, icing on the cake. If he doesn't, I felt like our defense was in a really good position at that point, especially with their offense now having to turn and go back into the wind. Even if we didn't make it, I was fine with us sending our defense back out there at that point.
Yeah, it was, again, that kind of an identity in Pitt State defense. They were up to the challenge. I don't know if there's another sport you liken that to other than maybe baseball, a pitcher just really locking down a team. I'd ask Kristian about this, but what's it like, your defensive background, seeing your defense just lock on them possession after possession after possession?
Yeah, well, it makes you feel good, number one, as a coach, that they're playing well. It makes you feel good that they're executing what you're asking them to do. You always, as coaches, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we coach is to, be able to see our guys have success. And when they have success, it's so much fun to watch how they celebrate together, how happy they are for each other. And then obviously it gives you confidence as a coach to continue to lean on that. It's no different than Emporia. Like the run game was going well, so we just continued to lean on that. So to be able to see those guys go out and execute what you're asking them to do and doing it at a high level and watching them have success and watching them have fun with each other while they're having success is one of the coolest things as a coach. And
then also defensive field position. Kearney had one drive all day that started outside there, and it was after that missed field goal. So 25 in. Talk about defensive field position, especially when you playing the way you did. Yeah, definitely. I mean, when your defense can keep the other team on the opposite side of the 50, that's always going to be advantageous for you. Then obviously the wind, that big wind on Saturday, plays into a lot of different scenarios. How you're going to kick off into the wind, not to the wind. How you're going to punt into the wind, not to the wind. When to go for it on fourth down, when to not. So again, all of that's kind of fluid. I'm not a big analytics guy. Mm-hmm. To me, it's more the feel of the game. How's each side of the ball playing? What's the wind at? How do our kickers feel? And I think you just kind of got to go with the flow each week and each game. And you really got to gauge your guys on where they're at, where their confidence level's at. And I think for me, that more determines kind of how you coach and call a game is just kind of the feel of that game. Yeah, I'm not an analytics guy either. A bunch of nerds running baseball and football with a bunch of numbers that they think the chart says go for two. You go for two when you have to, right? Not because some chart says you should in the first quarter. But, Coach, you guys trade punts after the missed field goal. And then you had the interception. You mentioned that earlier. Jackson throws it deep. So it did flip the field. Kearney's at their own 17. But we're at the point of the half now, 2:45 until the locker room. They had timeouts, and they're getting the ball out of the locker room. Teams talk about a chance for back-to-back possessions. How about the sack by Jordan Rogers to derail that drive? Yeah, that's huge. I mean, obviously, J. Rog is not just one of the best football players in the conference, but one of the best in the country. And we continue to lean on him defensively, continues to come up and make huge plays for us in key moments each week. So it was a great job to see him. I think that might have been his first sack on the season. But great job by him making a play right there when we needed it. And again, getting that momentum back. Man, anytime you turn the ball over offensively, it's kind of the defense's job to get the momentum back, whether that's a takeaway or a 3-and-out or a big stop or a big play. And boy, he was able to step up for us right there and do that. It was a big one behind the line of scrimmage down to the 11. And so Kearney's really pinned deep, and they would have to punt it away. And Pitt State ends up getting good field position because of a face mask on Kearney. And you do get a field goal before half. So 2-possession game in the locker room. What do you remember telling your guys? Yeah, I mean, it was huge, to be able for Austin to get those points on the board and, again, just challenge the defense again. When we went to the locker room, hey, you guys get to start the half. Make sure you set the tone for us. Come out fast, take away or a 3-and-out and get the ball back to our offense. Well, the Gorillas didn't quite have that happen, but there was an impactful play on that opening series of the second half by the Gorilla special teams. We'll take our next break, come back, go through the second half of the Kearney game, and eventually look forward to homecoming with Washburn in town. We'll do all that with Coach Anthony right after this. Welcome back to our next segment of the Coach Tom Anthony Show. Eddie Lomshek and the coach continuing through the Gorillas' hard-fought 23-6 win over Nebraska Kearney this past Saturday. Again, if you're listening on Monday following the game on 100.7 of the KSHQ app, the video installment of the show will be released Wednesdays at noon through Pitt State Athletics YouTube channel. Coach, so you mentioned up 10-0 and your defense is back out there to open the second half, and Kearney had their best drive of the day. I mean, this is by far their most momentum, a 9-play drive, 3 first downs along the way, a couple of third down conversions. You force them to settle for a field goal and another block in the middle by the Big O, right?
Yeah, Osahan, man, he's we actually named him our special teams player of the week this week for that block kick, and I think that's his fourth or fifth on the year, and just continues to change the game for us in there, and he's able to get so much push, interior push, when you don't have to worry about bringing pressure off the edge on field goal block, and you can get some really good interior push. That's a game changer for you. And he's done a great job all year. And again, anytime you can keep points off the board down in the red zone, whether it's an extra point after a touchdown or a blocked field goal, man, that stuff, for me, that's no different than taking the ball away. I mean, that's no different than an interception or a fumble recovery. When a team puts a drive together and you block their field goal, to me, that's no different. It doesn't go down as a takeaway, but for me, that's no different than an interception or a fumble recovery.
This game ended 23-6, but that was one of 2 plays. Kearney had a chance to make it a 1-score game, and man, don't lose sight of those. And we'll get to the other one here in a little bit. And then lo and behold, you guys answer. You get the ball at your own 24, 9-play drive, 8-play drive, get a field goal. So extend the lead, not the touchdown you wanted to maybe get 3 scores, but talk about answering there with some points of your own right after you deny them.
Yeah, huge by the offense. They got a little momentum there. Kearney did, on that first drive, and our defense was able to get some of that momentum back, and then offense continues to build on that momentum, puts points on the board, continues to build on that. So, like you said, it went from being a 1-score game to a 2-score game, just based off that block field goal, and then we were able to convert on one on the other end.
Well, the Gorillas go up 13-0. Schmidt good from 33. That was at 5:47 of the third. Kearney gets the ball back. More complimentary football, 3 and out. The Gorillas have the ball. Great field position at their own 45. Kearney going into the wind in the third quarter. Another field goal by Austin Schmidt, 35 yards out. It was getting frustrating again, but the other team has a little bit to do with that, but it's still a 16-0 lead. And then Kearney eventually gets their points. From their own 25, they went 3 and out. Just a booming punt, though, early in the fourth quarter with the wind at their back. I don't know how many yards in the air that ball was. And Ryan Medeiros, who's been as sure-handed as anybody, just had it go through his hands, I guess. Just think backtracking and wind moving that ball a little bit. And he's not going to make an excuse.
Yeah, wind moving the ball, carrying him backwards. The sun is right there, no clouds. And I put part of it on me, too. That was the one punt return that I wasn't back there with him. I normally stand back there right by him, and I'll be screaming from the sideline sometimes on whether or not he should try to field it. So part of that's on me, too, for not being back there with him and just yelling at him at that point to let that thing go over his head. And most likely that's going to hit the ground, and go right through the end zone and be a touchback. So obviously Ryan needs to field those, and we're going to continue to rely on Ryan. He's been, like you said, sure-handed for the last 3 years as our punt returner. But again, that was just one of those situations where kind of the elements and the head coach not doing what he was supposed to do to help him out kind of all made that happen.
Shutouts are so rare this day and age. There have been rules changes that help offenses. We talk about, lateral passing game, all these things that can happen with RPOs. And so, but is a shutout kind of an unofficial goal of a defense every week?
Oh, for sure. And as soon as that happened, Coach Nutt on the headset was like, man, we can't buy a shutout, but again, that's just part of the game, and super proud of our guys, man. Defense runs right out there. At that point, they're trying to go for a 2-point conversion, like you said, to make it a 1-score game. And boy, defense comes up huge right there and is able to stop that 2-point conversion. Twan was able to pick the ball off, and all of a sudden now, instead of a 1-score game, them having all the momentum, we get that stop. Now it's still a 2-score game. Got a little bit of that momentum back in our favor.
This was similar to Grand Valley, who had a defensive score to get on the board, and then that momentum flipped that game. But I also think back to the Central Oak game. You guys throw a pick, but your offensive players didn't give up on it. Central Oak's at your 30, 4 plays off the field. So the mental toughness shown by the Pitt State defense, that pick by Antoine Nunn was huge. And that's a live ball. I don't know how close he was to getting out in the open field with that thing, but you can go back for 2 points.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, he tried. I mean, we coach our guys up on that every week. And, man, these, block PATs and picks on 2-point conversions, like we can convert those to points. So just continuing to coach guys up on that. And again, he was probably one or two guys away from having a shot to kind of take that thing back for a couple of points for us.
You guys get the ball. There's still 14 minutes to play, though. That's the thing. It's 16-6, and you feel pretty good. It's a 2-score game. Your defense is still rolling good. Move the football, and then you end up turning over on downs. Not as much success with your jumbo package this week, and again, the other team is trying too. But Obviously, you're going to put the ball in Luke's hands and do that thing. One time, I think Carson carried it, Carson Trimble, but what'd you see on some of the short yardage things that maybe that heavy set wasn't as successful for you this week?
Yeah, I mean, Kearney did a great job. I mean, for the first time all year, we really had a team that kind of really matched that personnel. When we went to that jumbo stuff, they subbed in a bunch of extra D linemen and linebackers. So again, that'll be a challenge for our offense moving forward, is to be able to have some answers for when teams do want to do that. But again, Kearney did a great job matching personnel. There was a couple of those short yardage plays. We had Luke in there where we did miss a couple blocks and didn't execute probably how we needed to. But again, kudos to Kearney for game planning that and being prepared for it and coming out and them executing what they were being asked to do.
And I think I asked you this on post game, but a game where you've done a better job at staying out of your own way, but there were 2 or 3 at least, maybe 5-yard penalties. You feel like you kind of got in your own way there?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, there was a couple false starts offensively that I know are fixable. One of them, questionable after watching it on film. One of them for sure was a false start. So, we had a holding, I think, by blue ball at some point in the game that kind of took away a big run and got us behind the change. So, just continuing to clean some of that stuff up, and I think we're doing a lot better. I mean, you look back at the first 2 weeks of the season and the amount of self-inflicted penalties and wounds we had, cleaning a lot of that up. I mean, you can't go into these games against all these really good teams and have a lot of penalty yards and high penalties and expect to win the football game.
Yeah, penalties and turnovers. I mean, that's a telling stat at the end of the day in football. But Kearney still has to feel pretty good after turning you over on downs. We have 9.5 minutes to play, and they're getting the ball back, still down 16-6, but another 3 and out by the Gorillas, and then unfortunately a missed field goal after that. So Kearney gets the ball back at their own 20. Now they're in desperation mode. 4:22 to play. And they're backed up and have to go for it. And the pick 6 by Kristian, talked about that with him earlier. He kind of took us through it. What did you see from the sideline on that play?
Great coverage and then great pressure up front. I mean, we were bringing some pressure, playing man coverage, and the coverage was phenomenal on the back end. And Christo did a great job, and we were able to generate a little bit of pressure. Got the quarterback kind of off of his mark in the pocket, and he threw a ball up, and Kristian made a great play on it. Like Kristian told you, man, we had some elite blocking, by all the other 10 guys on the field to get in the way, be smart, staying high, a couple high wall blocks, not decleating guys, and Kristian was able to find a seam and get in the end zone there.
Are there universal things you teach that apply to that situation when there's a sudden change of possession? Now you turn into an offensive player and block. He talked about, do I go to the middle? Do I go to the sideline? Are there some universal things you want to see your guys apply?
Yeah, for the most part, find the near sideline. We never want to try to cut back across the middle. Never peel back and block somebody behind the football. No blindside blocks. When in doubt, high wall and just try to screen them out like you would blocking a guy out, playing basketball, trying to get a rebound. And again, all 10 guys did a great job of executing that, being smart in the way they were blocking and leading him into the end zone.
Well, and we'll hear the play. It was just very fitting that the final nail in the coffin was courtesy of the defense, because that was a great day for you guys in that regard. You mentioned pressure. Kearney came in leading the league in sacks. You give up 1. Your defense had 4. We talked on the one on Jordan earlier. But pass rush, how do you feel with where you are for the season?
I mean, very pleased with where we're at. Continuing to develop a couple of young guys. I mean, I think you're seeing some young guys step up for us. Kiro Martin, redshirt freshman, has been huge for us this year. Elijah Morton. James Smith continues to get better. James and Elijah were both out for that Emporia game, 2 of our best edge rushers. We didn't have them for Emporia, so getting them back healthy was huge. And those interior guys are continuing to get better. I mean, Sam Holtz, Osahan, Jay Sharp. Those guys are doing a great job in there. Tayshawn McDaniels. So I think very pleased right now with where our defensive line's at. And then being able to find, I think another part of pressure is being able to find, your best second-level blitzers. So us being able to get some of those guys more involved in the pass rush, finding those skill sets for them, and then putting them in a position where they have the opportunity to go do it, is a huge part of that.
There was one play, and I think it was in the first half, that I'm almost sure you had Eli Wilcox drop off in coverage, and then he makes a play out in the flat on the Kearney sideline. So you see guys that, in recent years we saw Brandon Stegall, that versatility. Talk about that position and having a guy with Eli's size and experience now that can do that for you.
Yeah, Eli's doing a great job as well at that Leo position. Eli's a guy that was ineligible last fall, and then wasn't able to help us out, so I had to take a year off, and matured, has continued to grow on and off the field. And I think you're seeing just what he's capable of. That length, the athleticism, him being able to go out there and make plays for us has been huge.
You touched on Zamari earlier. Cleo was dinged up a little bit in this game with a couple of things. Zamari pillowed Gary, 14 for 105, back-to-back 100-yard games for him. So, boy, another indicator of him just really rising for you.
Yeah, like I say, week to week, man, he's a guy that came in this summer, so he didn't have a spring ball. Had the kind of that learning curve through fall camp, and even through the first couple games, you weren't seeing him much because he was still getting comfortable in the offense, trying to learn everything. And I think now you're finally seeing him. He knows what he's doing, knows how to get lined up, and knows the offensive formations, the protections, all that stuff. And I think you're seeing, just his abilities now come to the forefront as he gets more comfortable with what we're doing.
Career high 8 receptions for Karan Parchman. He made a couple away from his body with the defender literally on his back. How about the hands of KP?
Incredible. I mean, I think you kind of saw some teams, I think, after the first couple weeks really started to take Karan away a little bit. And then you saw Grayson Holbert really step up. Now Grayson's had a couple big weeks, so now teams are, what do we do? Mm-hmm. So having Grayson and Karan both playing at a high level, mixing in some of those other guys, like Jay Trav and some of these transfers. Damian Long, redshirt freshman, has stepped up for us, had his first career touchdown catch. So now I think as those two guys continue to play at a high level, it's only going to open up more things for those other guys.
Yeah, 6 catches for Holbert. Good day for him. Mentioned 8 for Karan, but 3 others had multiple catches as well. Jackson Berry, 24 for 31, his best completion percentage of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think JB had had a couple rough outings there a couple weeks back, and I think he's another guy. He missed spring ball. I think a lot of people forget about that. He had that torn meniscus and was out all spring ball, so he missed all those reps. So for him, once we got to fall camp, that was really his first time, repping the offense, getting comfortable with some of these receivers. And just like Zamari, I think each week you're going to see JB continue to get better and better the more comfortable he gets with what we're doing offensively, how KB's calling a game, and just being able to get more comfortable with everything we're doing.
Gorillas 23-6 over Nebraska Kearney, 4 in a row in the win column, 4-2 overall, 3-1 in the MIAA. We'll take our final break when we come back. Homecoming week, Washburn in town. We'll talk about that with Coach right after this.
Pittsburgh State University Alumni and Constituent Relations, engaging Gorilla alumni and friends through Gorilla gatherings, family events, programming, and a variety of benefits and services. Ride with Gorilla Pride in Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma. Personalization available in Kansas and Missouri. Honoring our Gorilla greats and their achievements with alumni awards. Find an alumni event near you or learn more about us at pittstate.edu/alumni.
Welcome back to our final segment of the Coach Tom Anthony Show. Pitt State homecoming week, Washburn coming to town. Coach, Pittsburgh's a college town. You can appreciate the traditions that come with homecoming. So what should homecoming week mean to the university, to the community?
Yeah, I think it's just a celebration of the university as a whole. The Greek system gets involved. I mean, I think you got the parade and all that stuff. A lot of festivities leading up to the game. I know at Pitt State we do a thing called Yell Like Hell, right, where they go out there, and was able to partake in that the last couple of years, which is pretty fun to watch all the fraternities and sororities come out and compete against each other. So all that stuff is just a part of just the nostalgia and the history and the tradition, and then it culminates, on Saturday, with the football game. So it's great to be a part of that, and it's fun to be at a place where that stuff's important. It's not just about the athletic side and the football side, it's about all the other stuff that goes along with it. So it's really cool to be at a place where all that stuff is so special.
I see the great relationship between the community and the university and the football program on homecoming week. Some coaches guard against that being a little bit of a distraction. It can be, not that your players are asked to do much during the week. So I guess regardless of what is attached to the game, talk about the importance of staying in a routine.
Yeah, I mean, for us, nothing changes from our schedule, in terms of that standpoint. For us, I mean, our schedule is going to stay the exact same week to week. How we approach each opponent, our preparation, in terms of the schedule doesn't change. There's just some other stuff that goes on around campus and around town that just make it, just makes the week, that much more special. A
little more special for those involved with it. Washburn coming off a bye. First-year head coach Zach Watkins, and this guy was a great player. He is a Washburn guy through and through, and so I know he appreciates the opportunity to be the head coach up there. People will see 1 and 4. They have a couple of coulda, shoulda, woulda games, right? I mean, you can look at their numbers and say, well, they're struggling here, there, but everybody in this league is capable.
Definitely, and you watch them on film. I mean, there's one thing that team does, and they play hard. I mean, they're really good on defense. I think they have the top third down defense in the conference right now. They do some really good stuff on both sides of the ball. I mean, they're doing some good things, and I think, hopefully no one looks at the record and just assumes something, because this is a darn good football team. Took UCO down to the wire. Took Kearney down to the wire. Played School of Mines tough. They've really only had one game maybe that wasn't close, and that was the Northwest game. But man, they've been in every game. They play everybody tough, and they do some really good things. Run the football well. Have some really good running backs. Have a couple of really good skill guys, wide receiver, and then I think they play some really good defense when you watch them on film. They've played multiple quarterbacks. Talk about as a coach trying to prepare for a team that does that. Yeah, I mean, you got to prepare for the skill sets of both of them. They got one with the Hurley kid, I think, is a really good runner of the football. They bring him in and get some of that quarterback run game going, where you got to defend a plus hat in the box. You can start using the running back as a bonused up blocker. So there's a lot of stuff that we got to iron out through this week that we're going to be another really good challenge for our defense this week, because they are very multiple on offense, different personnel groupings, run the ball really well, perimeter screens, do a great job of creating new gaps with a lot of pullers, offensively. So be a good challenge for our guys again this week. And also now 4 in a row, and we ask your players about this every week. It's nice to have win streaks, but you can't, and Kristian touched on it, no complacency. Do you like where your team is, the things you hear from your guys at practice during the week about going 1-0 that week? Definitely. I mean, that's kind of the mentality we've tried to instill this past year, this get one mentality, one game at a time, one day at a time, one practice, 1 week at a time. And our guys know, our veterans know that, man, when you hit MIAA football play, every week's a playoff game. I mean, every team is capable of beating each other week in and week out. So it doesn't matter. I mean, you throw records out the window in the MIAA when it comes to football, because everybody has the ability to win every football game. And, that's how you got to approach each week. No Saturdays off, and this week, no exception. Pitt State and Washburn and homecoming, so get out and enjoy things during the week in the community. Parade Saturday morning through downtown, and then for the game on Saturday. 2 o'clock kickoff, so for our coverage, Mike Snow will have Gorilla Game Day at 12 noon on our flagship 100.7 and through the KSHQ app. Our network pregame coverage will begin at 1. That'll do it for us this evening. Big thanks to Coach Anthony and our player guest, Kristian. I'm Eddie Lomshek. Thanks for being with us, and go Gorillas.